How's that? Is that good? Thank you, Howard, for inviting me to read today. And I'm going to read some poems from my book, Night Court, which is available right over here for sale for $15. And I'm going to start with a new poem, though, because I'm so proud of it. This is my first ABCdarian. Y'all know what that is, right? Yeah. Sorry, over here. I've tried to write in this form before, but it always came out sounding like something from Dr. Seuss. So I think I hit it this time. So here we go. Before the storm. Aroma of the coming baptism. Sky a shining cross and Jesus at the door. The dry earth waits for what will fall. Fat drops of grace. The shimmering horizon, a holy icon. I've been jealous, demanding kisses, ignoring my dreams. Lord, be with us. There's no mercy in a storm, and though I try, I'm not a believer. Only an outburst will do, an unsolvable problem to melt my resistance, quicken my pulse. The sky ripples. Everywhere I look, I see a signal grace. Leave me something for tomorrow, broken, unclean, something I can fix, a Virgin Mary mystery. I'm pregnant with words. The sky gathers itself in pre-ecstasy. My head's full of yellow light as the zephyr blows in. That was so fun. I know I cheated on ecstasy. X should be just struck from the language. My book, Night Court, the first part of it deals with a health issue I've struggled with my entire life, and that is insomnia. So one night I was lying awake at night, and I decided to write poems about what it was like to be awake all the time when other people were sleeping. And this poem was won the Many Mountains Moving Poetry Contest in, I think it was 2010, so it's been going on for a long time. This poem is called 2 a.m. Sleep ends, percussive, final. I don't speak, try not to think, but sometimes I just need a good story. Once, a woman asked 25 Catholics what they thought heaven would be like. She got 25 different answers. When my husband was a boy, he broke a flask of holy water. The glass cut through his small hand, lodged in the bone, leaving a Y-shaped scar thick as rope. The night, ribbed like corduroy, leaves marks on my skin. No one calls me, no child cries. Why this vigilance? I rub my cheek against the night. Heaven is one enormous national park. It smells like childhood. The prince waits patiently until sleeping beauty wakes, even if it takes 100 years. I kiss my pillow.
A little louder, Erica.
A little louder? Okay, I can be louder. I didn't look at the time when I started. Was it?
You've gone 4 minutes now.
4 minutes,
so
okay.
you have lots of time.
Okay, great, thanks. One of the most awful experiences you can have is watching a loved one drift away in the throes of Alzheimer's. And my mother-in-law passed away a few years ago at the end of a long struggle with Alzheimer's. And one of the things that we had to witness was the awful experience of her trying to do this test, the Alzheimer's test. And so I had to write a poem. This is basically a found poem based on bits of conversation that I picked up from her. It's called Remember 3 Words. Apple, penny, table. I've lost the right lens from my glasses. Draw a house. We lived across the street from the library. I got my library card when I was 5. What time is it? I could check out as many books as I wanted, and God knows I wanted more than I could carry. What month is it? I crossed the street holding hands with my sister, came home after 2 years at Holy Names, got married at 19. Count aloud backwards from 20 to 1. 2 teenagers and a baby in diapers. Jim Beam was my best friend. Burned all of my diaries. Say the months of the year in reverse order. A 12-year-old boy killed my brother. He was 19. My mother told the killer's mother, "We both lost a son today." "How is your mood today?" "Of course my sister is already out of the hospital. She always has to be first." "Draw a clock at 11:05. In other words, the people in here have no class. No, I don't want any water. In other words, you don't have to shout. And this is one of those uncomfortable memory poems, which they tell you should explore your uncomfortable memories. There might be good stuff in there. With all this stuff going on now, with guns in school and awful things that we have to contemplate, it's probably my only poem that has the word gun in the title. At 13, I let a boy shoot my dog with a BB gun. A little older than me, he rumbled out a laugh in his newly acquired man voice, the gun a sexy toy we barely understood. The dog yelped, stumbled, breath coming fast, a hard lump rising next to his tail. His name was Happy. He did not walk for a week. He ate my socks and chomped lizards from the air. The boy had sly brown eyes and a mustache in training. I don't remember his name. To touch him, to place my hand below his flat white stomach, I would have done much worse things. Some food poems. These are the worst behaved poems. Thank you. They were in order, but no.
Now they're in a new order.
Yes, it's a new world order. All right. Sorry about that. Okay, a couple of poems about food, which I love to eat and write about. You know how weird it is when you're in the depths of winter and then you go to the grocery store and there's something just blatantly out of season there. So that's where this poem came from. No humble fruit. I want to be numb, to have winter's chill force me into dormancy. I want to hold snow, push my bare hands through drifts up to the elbows. But oranges are everywhere, piled and glowing, no humble fruit. Ticking in my palm, a little golden bomb, warm and fragrant like inside a kiss. And this poem is called Afternoon in the Shape of a Pear, and it's about my one experience canning 100 pounds of pears. 100 pounds on the kitchen counter, shoulder to shoulder like sweet lumpy trolls. I touch each one, feel hidden seeds moving, and the hairy tickle of the blossom ends. Something so bland takes sharpness well. Blue cheese, the paring knife. Perishable flesh, glowing like pearl, leaves sugary grains under my fingernails. In its lopsided heart, a lute-shaped crater hides the worm, who, though blind, knows the importance of being first. And this one will be apparent what it's about very quickly. It's called Irresistible. The bright, rich flavor, the singed edge of fat. Your teeth know what they were made for. Your eyes focus facing forward. Watch how people eat it. The lowered knife, the lifted fork, and then the dreamy look. Wait for the burst of energy, the power of protein. Conversation stops, as it should. This is the story of soil and horizon, of hoof and broken prairie. This is the story of hunger, of slaughter and dust. There are oceans of grass and fields of water on your plate. There is wind whistling through bone on your breath. I think I missed one because things kept falling. Let's see. Oh. There we go. Okay, one last food poem from the book. Theobroma Cacao. I place 4 dark brown hearts on the table, devour them one by one. They are gone too fast, and I'm still lonely. Some things can't be sweetened. As a child, I fed my brother raw cocoa just to watch his face collapse. He still remembers a sister's love, the shock you don't recover from. Schwattel laced with lime and chili. Priests with blood-clotted hair drank as they flung beating hearts to the sun god, kicked bodies down the pyramid steps. Blood dries thick, first russet, then umber, indelible. It anchors the sun in bitter black seeds. Some things shouldn't be sweetened, like that hot brew you gave me this morning, my love, topped with foam flowing over the lip of my porcelain cup. All right, now let's put these back in order. Hopefully. Louder. Louder? All right. I'll do my best. When it rains in California, which it's going to any minute now, it's sort of an event. You know, it's not like Oregon. It rains all the time here. It causes amazing things to happen. Like if you have grass and it rains a little bit, it will be this tall the next day. It's just incredible. So I went to visit my mom in May of last year, and we'd had some rain. We had a lot of rain last year. And the grass had grown up knee-high overnight. So I had to write about that. And this poem is called Grass the Conqueror. It's a wild green animal. It wants to be everywhere. It's an ocean. You could surf this grass. It's food. It's juicy and messy and tough. It heals wounds. You could wear this grass. It looks good on everyone. This grass moves into the neighborhood, puts down roots, and stands up for itself. You can't mow this grass. It's out of your league. This grass is a machine. It laughs at your sidewalk. It eats concrete for breakfast. This grass will cut you. It's full of tiny knives. It grabs your ankles and trips you. This grass is soft. It's a bed, a fort, a cave. It's home to the red-legged locust and the American bird grasshopper. It's where the leaf beetle meets the swallowtail butterfly, meets the crab spider. Lie down in this grass. Listen, this grass is faster than sound. It's louder than thought. Pray to this grass. Perhaps it will hear you. All right. So you all probably remember several years ago, not that many actually, probably only 2 or 3, there was a photograph that went around the world in a second, and it was a photograph of a little boy who had drowned off the coast of a Turkish island. And it was one of those iconic things that I don't think anyone will ever forget, seeing that image. And then when I saw it, as soon as I saw it, I knew that I wanted to write about it, but I wanted it to be a respectful poem, the right tone. I wrote around it a lot. And then I discovered the Middle Eastern form, the ghazal, which is a form of poetry where you repeat certain things, a word at the end of the second line of a group of couplets. And for some reason, that worked out. So this is called To the Border Guard Who Found Island Kurdi. The way you stood, I could tell it was not the first time you'd plucked a child's body from the warm Aegean shore. Soft skull, soft body, not sleeping, not awake. The Greek islands fragmented like parts of a body. Arms stretched in front of you, spine bent against the sorrow in your body. You walked the beach while cameras clicked at the floppy little body in your rubber-gloved hands. The whole world watched as if one body, your face as you looked away from the dangling shoes. Unsure how to move your body, the tiny heels kicking against you with every step. You held on to him, to the short history of his body. All right. It's the same poem. And we'll just get really dark here. I wrote this poem after what happened in Las Vegas. It's called Soft Targets. Some are sweet and edible, sliced like wedding cake. Some are fallen, camera followed to the pavement. Some are baked and bagged like hot, fresh loaves. Some are awake and running with arms full of air. Some are stuffed and mute like teddy bears. Some are scattered and silent on the nightly news. Most are forgotten. It seems to be the order of things. I can't seem to stop writing about my father. He's like everywhere. He's in all my poems. He died about... Now I have to find the poem. Where is it? Where are you, Dad? Here you are. He died in 2011, and I've just been writing about him endlessly ever since. And I did write about him also while he was alive, which he felt a little weird about. But my dad spent most of his formative years in Los Angeles, which is the land of the car, as we know. So this is called A Life in Reverse. At 78, my father steals a car and crashes into the Olympic National Forest. He doesn't hear the helicopters circling, searching for an old man who's wandered away from home. At 40, my father drives a cab in San Francisco, takes the slippery hills extra fast to jolt tourists in the back seat. At 37, my father racks up speeding tickets on the San Bernardino freeway, his life a moving violation, wife and children long gone. At 22, my father stands guard at Checkpoint Charlie, navigates the U-Bahn, plays jazz, escaped from the grease and stink of his father's LA garage. But he'll never be free of cars, will tinker with them for the rest of his life, fall asleep in them, wreck them, abandon them, the road ahead aimed at the distant horizon. One more car poem. This happened recently. Rural roadside with smashed car. I've been driving a lot lately, thousands of miles north and south and back again. One hot day between two small dry towns, sleep dragged my eyelids down and the highway went black. A siren shocked me awake, my limbs flooding with sparkling pain, a dream reversing itself from my mind. I yanked the steering wheel, pulling the car from the road's untidy edge just in time. It was not my day to die among the litter and roadkill, which is why 3 times in one afternoon I returned to a smashed car I'd passed while out driving, trying to grasp its crushed front end and how beautifully the pebbles of safety glass glimmered like scattered pearls. All right, 3 more poems and then I'm done. So this poem is called Leaving California. It's pretty obvious what it's about. But I want to point out that it is in a form. It's a manipulated 14-line poem, and I'm going to read 2 poems in the same form. And if you're interested in that form, it's found in the Wing Beats edition, edited by Scott Wigerman and David Meischen, and it's from Dos Gatos Press. It's my favorite book of prompts and places to get inspiration. Well, one of my favorites. Leaving California. We light the vanilla candle. San Jose is expensive and sad. It's turned cold again, and the olive tree drops green and mauve leaves. My brother talks of loss and marriage as he walks through Central Park, his black eyes fresh and firm as young olives. Next year at this time, we'll look out the window at one perfect peak, like a painting of Mount Fuji. Next year at this time, my brother will be a teacher in a city deep in dirty snow. Who will look at the olive tree with its bloom-loaded boughs? Who knows? In the lull before the packing, we count the things to leave behind. The wasp traps of black and gold, the yearly crops of olives, and how the dogs next door cried with every siren that went by. This one, same form. Different poem. It's called First Autumn in Oregon. The car smells like cheap candy. In Eugene, no one runs from the rain. This autumn feels like winter to me, a new kind of cold that my California bones already regret. At the supermarket parking lot, the rain's lisping tongues whisper. Next year at this time, I'll have a coat made of cutouts from a Van Gogh calendar, bold as sunflowers, warm as children's hands at Halloween. Will it be enough? Not nearly enough. The grocery clerk loads sodden sacks into my car. He takes his time. I drive home with my bags full of rain. Really love it here. And I will close with this poem. This is a different form too. This is a prose poem. It didn't start out that way, but it ended up being a prose poem. And it's kind of a goodbye elegy for the last place we lived before we moved here. It's called This Business of Nests. And it starts with a quote from Linda Paston, who writes, "It was never simple, even for the birds, this business of nests. A nest hangs in the olive tree, stiff and rumpled as a dirty sock. The year my son went to the hospital 3 times, I found 3 nests. When the baby bird fell out of the nest, its parents hovered, chirped, brought food, finally gave up. 3 is the magic number for wishes. My husband warned me not to touch the baby bird. Its parents will smell you. By the 3rd hospital visit, I no longer knew what to wish for, no longer understood what was required of me. The intention in these nests is beautifully specific. 1, a loose weave of twigs and plastic mesh. 1, a clump of moss and human hair. The last, a snug cup of dryer lint and breast feathers. The baby bird survived the night. In the morning, its eyes were open. I lost sight of it in the grass. I held the nests in my joined hands, the way I held my son's soft new head after he was born, and I lay torn and bewildered, a mother. I found it on its side, 1 leg bent under its body. The breeze stirred its feathers. I don't remember if I wished for anything the day of my son's birth, except perhaps to try and make sense of my emptied body. I took a picture of the baby bird. It was the exact gray of the concrete patio. I could not make out its eyes. I placed the 3 nests in a plastic bag. I told myself, if there are no more nests, there will be no more hospital visits. I buried the baby bird and left the house forever. I scanned the trees for nests. My son sings in the new house. Thank you.